Hey, just a heads up, this essay is going to contain spoilers for Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories and Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, so know that going in.
Anamnesis, noun. 1. A remembrance of the past. 2. Platonism, the recollection of innate knowledge from a previous existence.
At the end of Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, anime protagonist Sora learns a terrible truth. Namine, the girl he's fought all game to save, his childhood best friend who he promised to protect no matter what, is a stranger. As he climbed each floor of Castle Oblivion, she stripped away his real memories, replacing them with fake ones to manipulate him into following an organization's evil plans. For a 14-year-old who spends the majority of his time palling around with Donald Duck and Goofy, it's a lot to handle. I first played Chain of Memories a decade and a half ago, but this moment still sticks out to me. Imagine living your whole life, tirelessly grinding against the absurd and varied obstacles the world throws at you, and then just losing it all. What do you do when you know you used to be someone, but you just can't remember who? Anamnesis, written by Sam Lee and published by Blinking Birch Games, is a solo journaling game that uses tarot cards to guide players through the experience of cobbling together a new identity after losing their memory. It's been Emmy nominated and featured on my favorite actual play podcast, Friends at the Table. Frankly, doesn't need a traditional review. What I'm more interested in is Anamnesis' beliefs about identity, about recovery after loss of self, and how the past, while inescapable, doesn't have to determine one's future.
When you are ready, take a deep breath and wake up.
At the beginning of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, your character awakens in the medbay of a starship. They don't know who they are, they don't know why they're here, and they're quickly informed they need to get off the spaceship before a Sith fleet blasts them into the next star system. From a narrative perspective, it's a quick and simple way to get the player into the action. Don't worry about that backstory nonsense, you've got a job to do. Anamnesis' first act opens in a similar way, minus the spaceships, I guess, but it takes the time to slow down and dig into the existential horror of suddenly not knowing who you are. You don't know why your clothes are in a particular style. You don't know who your companions are. You don't even know what your voice sounds like. All you know is that you used to be somebody, but in this moment, that doesn't matter. You just need to get home, wherever that may be. In Chain of Memories, there's another important character named Repliku. Hang in here for a sec. Repliku is a manufactured person, a vessel made to look and behave like Riku, who is Sora's love interest from Kingdom Hearts 1. The problem is that neither Repliku nor Sora know this. Repliku is given memories, they're just not real ones. This poor puppet is much worse off than the player characters in KOTOR and Anamnesis. While they have pasts that are merely forgotten, Repliku's past never existed, despite his firm recollection of his entire life. It's all a fabrication. He was literally born yesterday. Stories about memory loss are, to me, always going to be horror stories, and these three games are great examples about how the loss of memory is comparable to the loss of personhood. In KOTOR, you're a blank slate for players to project their own Jedi fantasy. In Anamnesis, you're a randomly generated concept, with loose details sketched out based on interpretations of 3 tarot cards. Both have something in common with Repliku. They're all vessels, with new, unfamiliar identities stuffed into the hole in their hippocampuses.
Draw 1 card from the Major Arcana deck. This card is your shadow, and represents who you were in your past. Keep your shadow face up next to you. Use this card as a guide for uncovering your past.
As both Chain of Memories and KOTOR progress, their characters grapple with their pasts. Sora and Repliku clash over the false memories they've been given, each of them certain the star-shaped charm they've supposedly carried with them all their lives is evidence of a promise made to the girl at the top of the castle. The protagonist of KOTOR discovers they have the potential to become a Jedi Knight, and begins to build a life for themselves within the disciplines of the Order. In spite of their attempts to move on, Darth Malak hunts them persistently, seeking revenge for a slight the player doesn't remember committing. Their pasts still dangle above, just out of sight, like Damocles' sword hanging by a thread, threatening to fall at any moment. Anamnesis does a wonderful job of emphasizing that tension between who you were and who you're trying to be. The prompts in Act 2 are evocative, but still muddled. You wander around a town you simultaneously know like the back of your hand and can't remember a thing about. Sudden bursts of feeling will strike you at the sight of a building, smell, or person. You have an undeniable connection to the world, but even as you try to keep plodding forward, your old life haunts you. The shadow mechanic, wherein you draw a card that represents who you were before you forgot, is a useful tool to keep that sense of dread, that reminder that you can't escape the things that have already happened. Just because you don't remember your own history, doesn't mean that history isn't keenly interested in you.
You manage to find your home. The facade is unfamiliar. You fish the key out of your pocket and open the door.
Each of these characters face a reckoning near the end of their games. Sora learns Naminé's been manipulating him, Repliku discovers he's not a real person, and the protagonist of KOTOR learns they used to be Darth Revan, a Sith warlord who terrorized the galaxy until the Jedi wiped their mind. They are, all of them, confronted with incontrovertible proof of their past lives. Whatever identity or self-image they'd built up before is revealed to be a lie. In the medium of video games, these reveals hit especially hard because of the sheer amount of time you've spent advancing these characters through their stories. Neither JRPGs nor BioWare games have a reputation for being quick plays, so when you learn everything you've been working for has been for nothing, it hurts you too, even if that pain is only the understanding that your costs are sunk. Anamnesis' third act brings its players to a similar reveal. By raw muscle memory, a sudden flashback, or sheer luck, you return to the place you used to live. You fumble through rooms that are only familiar in hindsight, dig through the trash to find clues about who you used to be. The home may not even be yours anymore, depending on how long you've been gone. Anamnesis prompts players to think about the kind of person they once were, judging their old lives in bookshelves, decorations, and dents on and in the wall, and long-forgotten journal entries. This grants players a breadth of options when imagining their characters' histories, which, for a game about self-discovery, makes sense. But I also like how Lee forces players into this reckoning, asking them to make a choice about the kind of person their character was, before their identity faded away. For the characters of Chain of Memories and KOTOR, such a confrontation has dramatic and potentially terrible outcomes. Will your own characters meet with a similar fate?
Your past may shape your experiences, your thoughts, your desires, but it does not define you. You are in control of your own path. The road ahead may be built from the stones that you've gathered, but these fragments of your past do not dictate where it leads. It is time to move forward.
The reason I think Chain of Memories is one of the best games in the Kingdom Hearts series is how its characters handle the revelation that their pasts have been altered. They cycle through the stages of grief about as well as you'd expect, with Sora at first being confused and hurt, and Repliku lashing out, insisting he's been real the whole time. But after several melodramatic conversations, their paths diverge. Naminé can fix Sora, replace the memories she stripped away, returning him to the way he was before he came under her spell. This is also maybe the saddest moment in any video game. Everybody should play Chain of Memories. But Repliku is just that, a replica. He has no past to return to. His situation is dire. I mean, what can you do if you learn your whole life's never happened? Repliku simply leans in. He knows he's a fake, but the memories in his heart and the feelings he has for Naminé and Sora are real to him. They're the most important things he has, and he'll fight to protect them, no matter their authenticity. He chooses his own past. The protagonist of KOTOR also has to choose. Do they give in to their hatred and take revenge against the Jedi who manipulated them? Or do they embrace the person they've become since the start of the game, a person with friends and experiences Darth Revan could never dream of? Ultimately, the player makes that determination, but I like to think the good route is the canonical one. Revan may have been a great and terrible Lord of Darkness, but Revan is dead, had been dead ever since you woke up on that crashing starship. You can't change the past. You can't escape it, not permanently. But you can keep going, in spite or because of it. The past doesn't have to dictate what comes next. All the time I've been writing this essay, I've been worried about why I was trying to compare a tabletop game with two wildly different video games. They're fundamentally different media, on top of the fact that Anamnesis is a thoughtful, introspective piece, whereas Kingdom Hearts is, in its most simplified form, a whimsical mashup of Disney cartoons and anime hotties. But as silly as this comparison might be, I don't think I'm wrong that these games all believe the same thing about a person's past. The core mechanic of Anamnesis is drawing tarot cards, comparing them to a list of prompts, and interpreting them to fit your story. Deciphering the meaning of fantastical and ambiguous pieces of art is kind of the whole point of tarot, but I think that in the context of Anamnesis, the act of interpretation takes on new significance. Whatever signs from your old life show up during play, whatever hints you find in the home that used to be yours, you can take them or leave them. In Anamnesis Designer's commentary, Lee says players often forgot about the shadow card entirely, and she loved that. That ethos sums up the game's whole ideology. Anamnesis is about deciding who you are in spite of who you've been. Your memories, even if they're forgotten or manufactured, aren't as important as what you do with what time you still have. Your past is undoubtedly important, and it may follow you long after you've forgotten it, but it's not some all-powerful force like gravity or destiny. With time, even the past can be rewritten. And the good news is, you always have time to become someone new. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate everybody who tunes in to see these reviews. This is a weird essay. I think Anamnesis is a great game, but it does not need another review. I think the consensus is in that it's a great game. So I wanted to try to do something new, and I hope that worked. We'll see. If you did like what I tried here, do the normal YouTube shit, leave a comment, like, subscribe. But really the most important thing you can do to help me is to recommend people watch my channel and videos. Having somebody tell you a thing is great is by far the best way to get more people to watch them. So please recommend me to your friends, family, loved ones, ex-loved ones, etc. If you like what I'm doing here, you can follow me on Twitter at AaronSXL, where I tweet about TTRPGs, health policy, and writing. I also have 2 other podcasts. One is at Mortified Pod, where me and my friend Layla critique and talk about media. We're going to be watching Spy Family, that really fun anime. Can't wait to talk about that. And I also talk about Christian media with my friends Michael and Josh at The Bible Boys. We're on a bit of a hiatus right now, but you can listen to me talk about the fun we have on Bible Boys at That Gamer Priest, Ben Wallace's channel. That's All Ports Open Games. I'll probably drop a link in the show notes, but I talk about all the fun we have there. So if that's something you're interested in, please check that out. Anyway, thanks for everybody for making it all the way to the end. This is a long promo segment, but I appreciate it. I'm hoping the next review is going to be Everest Pipkin's world-ending game. I'm super excited to read that. So stay tuned. Thanks again. Bye.